Good day, Keisha Walker with Insights Marketing. I'm excited about the opportunity to be producing and taking this entrepreneurial summit around the country. Some of the top HBCUs. We're here at FAMU today, and I'm so excited to be back at my alma mater, where everything started for me, and excited as an entrepreneur even more so to have a chance to come back and deliver, empower, encourage, and excite the students to become entrepreneurs. Here at FAMU, we didn't have an entrepreneurial program. There was an opportunity to see graduates of FAMU who looked like me and to get information and get feedback on what I could do to be a successful entrepreneur. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to bring other Florida A&M graduates from a variety of backgrounds in terms of their majors here at their time on the Hill, as well as backgrounds to give you a chance to see and hear from them on what they did to become the successful entrepreneurs that we are today. And we have a corporate partner at all of our events who is an executive in the corporate arena, and they moderate the event for us, and they're also an alum of our esteemed FAMU. And we do the exact same thing at the other universities as well. So all the students get a chance to see graduates of their historically black college and university, and they get a chance to have a moderator who is one of our corporate partners on the national tour. So again, this is being recorded, so it'll be used on my website for our company. We've been in business now going into our 19th year. We produce and handle four main areas: celebrity sourcing, experiential marketing, non-traditional market research, and special events for a variety of corporate and celebrity clients. If you have an issue with being recorded, please sit behind the cameras, because we still would like for you to get a chance to get a lot of the information that's going to be here. I've asked some of my good friends and some esteemed alum from the university to come back and to share their knowledge. We made sure it was a variety of backgrounds, so you get a chance to experience that. So the first 45 minutes will be a panel discussion that Cheryl Harris from Allstate will be moderating, and we have 7 panelists here today. Then after that, we will do some breakouts in the back of the room. So if there's an individual and a particular panelist that you would like to get some more time with in a smaller space, that'll be your chance to do so in the back. We'll have each of them at their own separate table. It'll be a chance for you to ask additional questions. If you want to pick their brain, please, the thing too is network, exchange business cards, use your wireless devices to exchange and transfer information. So you're staying in touch with people, because you never know who may be sitting beside you, behind you, and or up on this stage that can lead to opportunities with you. Because a lot of the entrepreneurs that are here today are not only friends and former classmates of mine, but they're also vendors and clients, and we share the wealth between each other. So there's some amazing people, as long as you network, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask. At this time, I'd like to have the panelists come to the stage, and then Cheryl, when she comes up after I introduce her, she'll actually introduce each of the panelists individually, so you'll get a chance to meet them. So Cheryl A. Harris, first and foremost, is one of the most phenomenal women I know in the world. She is a mover, a shaker. She's a mother, a visionary, a leader. She's an executive at Allstate Company. She's on a variety of boards. She lives right outside of Chicago, and has been just a phenomenal mentor of mine. She works on everything from advocacy for the National Gay and Lesbian Committee. She is on the directors of a teen living program. She's at the Chicago Humanities Festival, and she, most importantly, is the representative for Allstate, and comes back and hires and recruits interns and full-time hires for Allstate. And that's something I wish all of our alum that are in corporate America would do, is to come back, give back, reach back, and create opportunities. I know if it wasn't for corporate America, I probably wouldn't be an entrepreneur today, because I started off on the corporate side. And you'll hear more of that feedback and information today as well from the fellow panelists. But I'm excited about Cheryl being here. She's also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. I still love her. I'm a Delta, but it's all love. And she's a member of the Chicago United Business Leaders Choir. She is a wife and a mother of 3. I don't know how she does it all. She is my superwoman, my mentor, my role model, Cheryl Harris, Senior Vice President and Chief Procurement Officer of Allstate.
Keisha's too sweet. Good afternoon. Come on, it's homecoming week, y'all. Good afternoon. All right. So I am happy anytime I'm asked to come back to the Hill, just because I believe that we all have an obligation to give back. And so for those of you that are here for the first time, I hope it's not the last time because I will be back here if Keisha asks me to come back this time next year. So, what I'd like to do is move the program forward. I'm going to introduce our panelists. We actually have extended bios on them. So, what I'll do is extract out key parts of their bio that I think are relevant to this discussion. And is it possible that we can make the bios available somehow, some way? We'll make the bios available to you so that you can know a little bit more about the people that are participating today. So first up, and I do have a bit of a bias. Um, I'd love to introduce a good friend, sorority sister, little sister, Sonia Jackson Miles. So, sorry, gentlemen, but ladies go first. So, all the things that Keisha said about me, I greatly appreciate, but I could actually take the same thing and sum them up and talk about Sonia. When you think about Sonia, she and I were classmates here. Again, I'm a bit older than her. But what the work she's done continues to motivate and not inspire just me, but all of the women and men that she touches. So Sonia Jackson Miles is founder of the Sister Accord movement, and she's an author of the Sister Accord, 51 Ways to Love Your Sister. And so when you think about just the importance of us as women supporting one another, Sonia actually puts that into practice every single day. She's a mother as well, two sons, Kendall and Jordan. She's married to another great friend, Kenneth A. Miles. She's a Midwesterner. She's from Saginaw, Michigan. I'm a native Chicagoan. And she graduated at the top of her class from SBI with a business administration major, BS, and her MBA in marketing, both 89 and 90. What amazes me, and Keisha made reference to this, is Sonia had a very successful career in corporate America. She spent over 20 years there. So I watched her go from working from the Ford Motor Company to Gillette and P&G, and ultimately starting her own very successful business that allows her to live into her personal purpose. She has a list of accolades, including being named as Essence Magazine's Woman of Power in 2008. She was mentioned and referenced in the Bloomberg Report's History Makers in 2009, the Trumpet Awards Foundation Women in Heels in 2010. She and I are peers, being inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011 for the School of Business and Industry. Again, I can go on and on and on about all the things that she has done professionally. But what strikes me is the work that the Sister Accord does every single day. It has three focus areas: educating girls and women, enlightening girls and women of power of the sisterhood, with an ultimate goal of eradicating bullying and violence against them. Again, I won't go through all of this because we're going to make these available. But when you have someone who is so passionate about changing lives, and again, it initially started out with changing lives of women, but has now extended to men, I couldn't ask for a better sister and friend. So, Sonia, so happy to have you here with us today.
Love you.
Love you too. Next up, I'd like to introduce Ed Benson. Ed is president and CEO of Ticket Annex. And if you want more information on his organization, you can go to www.ticketannex.com. I actually took a minute to ask Ed, what is Ticket Annex? And when you think about Ticketmaster, his company is a direct competitor to that. In his role, he oversees and manages all executive level functions within that organization. He's also responsible for initiating and developing the company's internet and emerging wireless technology. And so when you think about the Internet of Things and the integrated digital enterprise, Ed is working to make sure his company remains very relevant. Again, another person who started his life in corporate America, with most of his experiences being in senior management for manufacturing and chemical processing organizations, two very prominent Fortune 100 companies specifically. He graduated from Florida A&M with a Bachelor of Science degree in chemical engineering and an MBA from Duke University with a concentration in strategy and finance and a health sector management certification. He's Lean Six Sigma certified, um, meaning he's a black belt, which there aren't many of us that actually have black belts, so I commend that. And he actually takes a data driven approach to problem solving. So hopefully, all of you have heard about big data and the importance of understanding it and emerging roles that are happening. Ed is going to be very successful in not just this, but whatever he chooses to do. He's a visionary leader whose leadership and organizational and management skills set him apart from his peers. Those are things that we all learned here at Florida A&M. And so when you think about what he's been able to do at Ticket Annex, he's actually exceeding customer expectations and ultimately will dominate the marketplace. Congratulations, Ed, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Santana Johnson is a managing partner of Centurion Wealth Advisors, and they specialize in wealth management, tax planning preparation, cash flow management, and retirement planning. Clients are individuals, business owners, and professional athletes. And I will tell you, in the world of insurance, it's unfortunate, but we do see from time to time people that have not taken the time to plan for the future, i.e., plan for retirement. So if any of you are in the market for retirement advice, see my man Santana. He originates from Jacksonville, Florida, where he graduated from Rains High School in 1991.
Duval.
He came, what did you say?
Duval.
Duval. Duval, I'm learning too. Um, he attended FAMU, where he obtained his Bachelor of Science degree in accounting in 1996. He obtained his CPA, his Certified Public Accountant certification, in the year 2000. His professional work includes working diligently as a senior auditor at KPMG in Atlanta and as a managing auditor at Daryl Jackson CPA office. He's the owner of Centurion Financial Services since 2003, and it was also formerly known as SWJ Financial Services. Santana, thanks so much for being here. Melissa Mitchell, you're so beautiful. So, Melissa Mitchell was born and raised in Miami and now resides in Atlanta. As a child, she always had an affinity towards big hair, bright colors, animal prints, and anything that allowed her to stand out. Her love towards outward expression proved to be the perfect condition to cultivate her unique artistic interpretation and bold creations. Following family tradition and becoming a third generation Rattler, Melissa received her academic training at Florida A&M, obtaining a bachelor's degree in public relations, graphic design minor, and a master's degree in public management. While in school, Melissa was known as the girl with bright colors and an even bigger personality. She left college with a feeling that life had to be more than working a 9 to 5, but she followed the traditional route of pursuing a career. But somehow, this very bright woman had a yearning for more. Very bright woman. I'm not going to tell you guys what that means. She graduated top of her class. With her family at her core, she chose to move to Miami after college, then to Atlanta to be close to her parents and siblings. In March of 2010, her father passed away tragically at the age of 52, and this impacted her deeply. It was during this time that she decided to reevaluate her life's purpose. She began to immerse herself in community activities, travel the world, dug deeper into her career, and found new passions. After years of soul searching during the great Atlanta snowstorm of 2014, God awakened a sleeping artistic giant, and that would change her life and the course of her life. Melissa finally found her artistic voice and really found a way to channel this strong, expressive energy. While the city was frozen, she became alive. And with no formal training, she gave life to art that the world had never seen. People fell in love with her bold, one of a kind pieces and they wanted to purchase them. After selling more than 10 pieces in a single week, she knew that this was the beginning of her accelerated career. So I will tell you, this is my first time meeting Melissa. Um, but I want to buy some stuff. And it's just a testament to that when you find your life's purpose, the world actually opens up for you. So I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy that you're here. I have, yes, please. Okay, so we now have Nick. Okay, okay, Precious. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm still on Chicago time. I'm sleepy, y'all. Um, Precious Anderson is the founder and principal of the Anderson Firm, LLC, a legal and business boutique in Midtown Atlanta. Precious stepped out on faith 15 years ago by leaving one of Atlanta's most prestigious law firms to start her own practice, where she built a referral based business courted by notable members of Atlanta's business and entertainment community. So I'm going to pause right there for a minute because when you actually start your own business and your business is built on referrals, it means that you have built credibility, respect, integrity. You understand the importance of relationships and you know how to connect with people. No, thank you for doing it right. Precious received her JD from Harvard Law School and her BS and BA from Florida A&M, where she graduated double summa cum laude. Double, not just one, but two. On the TV special, The Black Bottom Line, African Americans' Contributions to Business in Atlanta, Precious is featured along with other influential African Americans like Ambassador Andrew Young. In 2014, the Atlanta Business League honored Precious as the youngest of three finalists for its prestigious Outstanding Businesswoman of the Year award. And her other entrepreneurial pursuits include being a TV, film, and theater producer for a company. Do you ever sleep?
Hardly.
Okay. Delta is a member of Delta Sigma Theta, the Commerce Club's membership committee, the Georgia Association of Women's Attorneys Leadership Academy, and a United Way VIP. Since 2005, she's been selected as a Who's Who in Black Atlanta, and now under her Lessons for Ladies platform, Precious has been a sought out motivational speaker and been focused on speaking about women and topics where women focus on embracing life, success, and happiness as female entrepreneurs. She has a few things that she enjoys. She loves living,
Yes.
she loves life, she loves getting stamps in her passport,
Love
and
them.
most importantly, she's proudest of her three angels, Jackson Davis and Olivia Grace, which she boasts as her greatest accomplishments. So it's so great to have you here.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Nick Nelson. Nelson is an entertainment marketeer, author, and motivational speaker. As a principal and chief marketing officer, CMO of Liquid Soul, the country's premier sports and entertainment marketing firm, Nelson is an innovative force who has produced targeted marketing and communication strategies for some of TV's highest rated shows and more than 20 number one box office films. So when you think about what he does, he actually focuses on creating buzzworthy campaigns by tapping into the pulse of his target audience. So, it's one thing for a marketing company just to do general marketing, but when you know who you're marketing to, you can do some dynamic things. When you think about the brands that he and his organization support, they include Disney DreamWorks, General Mills, HBO, NBC Entertainment, Warner Brothers, and Walmart. Nelson helped to develop strategies for the Primetime Emmy Award nominated television series Blackish and Golden Globe winning television series Empire. How many Empire folks do we have in the audience? Blackish? All right. So you're very familiar. Recognized as the Agency Marketeer of the Year by the Atlanta Chamber of the I'm sorry, of the American Marketing Association 2012, Nelson became the first and only African American to receive the honor in its more than 50 years of existence. How's that for breaking the glass ceiling? Um, when you think about his work in the community, he's a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity and the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. He's also the deacon of his church and a youth leader, which is very important because we need more people that look like us, in particular, African American men being role models to our young men in all the cities that we support. Um, there's a lot more here, but although I'll say this, Nelson holds many titles. There's none, not a single one greater to him than that as a husband to his college sweetheart and a father to his son. He also hails from Florida A&M as well. So um, we have one more panelist who's not here yet. She's en route, so let me go ahead and introduce her, and we can welcome her when she gets here. It's Ariane Simone, and she is CEO of Ariel Simone Enterprises. Oprah Winfrey once said, "What greater adventure is there than to live your dreams?" And that's exactly what Ariane is doing. She is fun, fly, fabulous, and a fearless entrepreneur. She's been blessed throughout her career and continues to inspire others to live into their purpose and their dreams. She's a proud native of Detroit, Michigan, and she pursued her college education here at Florida A&M while owning and operating her mall-based retail store, Fabulous. Upon graduating from college, Arian was laid off from work and went from living in an apartment to living out of her car. She was without a home for almost a year until she was sought out to do public relations and marketing independently. So I tell you, FAMU prepares you for things that you never expect.
It does.
Being a successful P&R marketing firm from the ground up, she established great relationships in the entertainment industry. She is credited with doing publicity and promotions work on such films as Ride Along, Limitless, Act of Valor, Quantum of Solace, This Christmas, Stomp the Yard, and many, many, many more. She is responsible for, and now this is fun stuff too, the event planning of Lil Wayne's 25th birthday bash, Chris Brown's MTV Super 18, and countless others. I think I want to talk to her about planning my 50th. How about that? In 2010, she launched Fearless magazine with cover girls such as Khloe Kardashian, Lala Anthony, Megan Good, and more, serving as a platform for others to share their fearless journey. Fearless magazine later evolved into Fearless Discussions, transparent conversations about real topics affecting today's society and pop culture. So she has been a speaker at Dartmouth, Indiana University, Purdue, Howard, FAMU, and countless others. Um, Throughout her frenzy of success, she actually finds ways to give back. Most important of all, she gives all credit and respect to her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for her success. She lives a life of fulfillment and encourages others to do the same. So I've read through some of these very briefly, but if you have not gotten that these people are blessed and prepared for whatever the world has to offer, then you ain't heard a word I said. So let's get on with the conversation. And, when you think about the summit objectives, I'm going to go through those very briefly. Um, it's focused on six key things. First is to learn how entrepreneurship benefits the economics and the overall community. Secondly, this is going to be interactive. So I'm going to ask some questions, but if there are questions from the audience, we want to make sure that you also get a chance to live into it. This symposium is about you. It's about you gaining insights into the questions. And I always say this even when I interview students on campus. This is us right here, right? We are here to support each other. So if there are questions that you've never felt comfortable asking anybody else, you can do it in this room. And we're going to give you the honest to God answers to the best of our abilities. We want you to overcome some myths. We want to teach you about things that you actually need to know. And we want to inspire the students in the room to consider entrepreneurship. I will tell you, I'm not a hater because that's just not my style. I'm proud of them, but I am very proud of the courage that they had. Most of them started off in corporate America where you're almost guaranteed a paycheck. And they actually, I call it, took a leap off the ledge
I know, right?
to really live into their life's purpose. And then we also ultimately at the end of this want you to network. So don't race out of here at the end. Spend some time getting to know my brothers and sisters because there's a lot of stuff going on campus. And I'm just going to say they took their time out to come here and be available to you. So let's make sure that we optimize every minute that they're going to give to us because it costs a lot of money to get them, like if your company's writing a check. So I'm going to spend as much time with y'all as I can. Okay. So let's just start at the top of things. And I'm going to put it out to whoever wants to answer this question first. Why are you an entrepreneur? Why? Why? Right? Um, Especially when some of you had very, very successful careers at other places. And I'm looking at Precious. It looks like she's afraid to answer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm sure all the panelists will join me in this for the Career Center and everyone who put this together and the students and family and friends who are here. We very much appreciate your being here. I am an entrepreneur because I didn't know any better. I come from a little small town that's very close called Quincy, Florida. And where I grew up, entrepreneurs had like the houses, a lot of the house lawyers and the doctors, they're in houses and they had the shingles outside. So that's what I saw. I saw people making their own living. So I went to work for King and Spalding, and the movie The Firm is based off of King and Spalding, and they have Fortune 50 companies. It's a top 10 firm in the country. And they recruited me heavily. And even though I left at $175,000 a year, I just knew that wasn't for me. I wanted to chart my own course. Music was doing phenomenally well in Atlanta. And I would get stopped. People would see this black woman and they would say, oh, she's a lawyer. And they were like, oh, can you help me get a record deal? Oh, my cousin's got some beats. And I went to King and Spalding because they're blue blood, mergers and acquisitions, securities, Brown and Williamson, Delta, UPS, those are their clients. So they entertained me because there were only 6 of us there, Larry Thompson being one of them, the former deputy general. But with that being said, they paid about $80,000 for a feasibility study and came back and said no. And when they said no, because I was making more money than several of my family members, I just said, screw it. Pardon me. And I stepped out on faith. Now, she's absolutely right. I had my money going to SunTrust Bank. And on the 15th of the month was one check, and the end of the month was the other. I almost had a cardiac arrest when it didn't go in. I had saved money, but I don't know any better. There's no greater freedom than charting your own course, deciding who you're going to represent or what business you're going to do and what initiatives that you're going to be a part of. I don't answer to anyone but God.
I know that's right. Who else? Who else sort of has this just dynamic response? Why in the oh, I was gonna say the H word. Why do it? Why do it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'll just very briefly so that someone else has an opportunity to say something. I had no intentions of ever being an entrepreneur.
I thought she was crazy when she told us she was quitting her job.
I was making tons and tons of money and all these stock options and all these perks, and everything was going so well. But guess what? Just because you are successful at something does not mean that that's what you were created to do. And my spirit and soul longed to do what I was created to do. So my assignment and my obedience and me being an entrepreneur is tied to my purpose. It is my responsibility as I was formed in my mother's womb to bring the Sister Accord to life. It's my assignment. And other people are depending on me to do my assignment so that they too can do what they were created to do. So I came into entrepreneurship in a very raggedy way.
Hmm.
Had a dream and literally said, "Here I am, Lord, use me." After fighting it for many, many years, I fought. I was running,
She
Cheryl.
fought it,
I
y'all.
was fighting for many, many years, but then got to the place of understanding that this was actually my calling. And now being able to do good while I'm doing good for others and being able to make a living for myself and my family while I am serving is the ultimate in living a fulfilled life.
Amen.
It's a privilege to go behind you after that wonderful story. I also did not want to be an entrepreneur. I saw my dad hustle every day, from being a pastor to being a teacher to selling jerseys on the set. And after he passed away, everybody's like, "God, I remember your dad. I remember your dad." I said, and after 2010, I said, "Well, Lord, how am I going to be remembered?" And when I asked myself that question for about 4 years, the Lord gave me these designs. And so I said, "Well, what am I do with this artwork? Nobody want no art. Nobody's buying art." And I put a couple pieces out online, and people started buying. And I always say that I traded a pulpit for a paintbrush, because I was able to tell my story and actually have a ministry of the sorts, sharing a gift of purpose and understanding, and saying, "Hey, tomorrow's not promised. You got these 24 hours. You need to make the best use of it." So being an entrepreneur for me, like she said, is to wake up something else in somebody. That if we had four people here, one person or 1,000, there's somebody in this audience that needs to wake something up in them, and that's why God allow us all to be here today. So if you sitting on something, this is your sign. We're your signs that you need to do it. So entrepreneurship for us is a calling that we could not ignore.
I have a question, and excuse me for my tardiness. My flight was delayed. Everybody, my name is Arian Simone. I'm an entrepreneur as well. Was the question about how we got into entrepreneurship?
Why are you an entrepreneur?
Oh, I was born one. Unlike them, I knew I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was 5 and 6. I was already selling things, whether it was candy or anything. My parents' friends, they always talk about how I sold poinsettias on the weekends in middle school. I would get my mother's phone book and I would go through her contacts, and I knew what my target audience was, and I would call those people and I would sell to them. And I was like a number one fundraising chair as a kid for like the UNCF, the NAACP, because I'd go around and collect all the money. So I knew very young I wanted to do entrepreneurship. And honestly, when I went against my calling and got a job after I graduated from here at Florida A&M University, and life went left for me. And I think life went left for me because I went and got a job. So I got a job. I was there for 30 days and ended up being laid off because the company got sold. So the one time when I stepped outside of it, my life caused more hell than I'd ever seen before ever, than entrepreneurship ever bothered me. And entrepreneurship has its ups and downs. But my roughest time was when I stopped being an entrepreneur. So yeah, I was born to do business.
I would like to chime in.
Please, Santana.
Um, I think I had no other choice. Um, Doing two internships in SBI, I quickly came to realize that was not for me. Um, and so I began to really think about what could I do um, and still be happy. I've always tried to make decisions about what makes me happy, and corporate America did not accomplish that for me. So it was about 20 years ago this time. I was over at Florida State hanging out with some football players, and I was just wild enough to believe that I could handle their money. And from that day, I crafted my professional experience to put me in a position to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But let me just pick up on a word that you used that you don't hear many entrepreneurs and corporate executives talk about. That's the word happiness or happy. And what's interesting, we had our annual officers meeting, 180 of the top executives at Allstate together. We brought in a Buddhist priest to talk about the importance of happiness because happiness or lack thereof sort of has stolen our soul. And so I just want to say thank you for making that comment because, and Sonia said it a little bit earlier, you can have all the money in the world, but if your soul is not right, life isn't worth living. So, to the students out there, make sure that you sort of get in touch with yourselves and seek out what your purpose is, so that you don't make some of the, I'm not going to say mistakes. We trailed some paths to learn some new things, but ladies and gentlemen up here can help you sort of shortcut through some of those. So, you all are all successful entrepreneurs, and I know it has not been easy. But can you give for the audience what do you believe the three top attributes or skills are that you need to be a successful entrepreneur? And I will start with the first one, because part of my job is to employ entrepreneurs, help them partner with Allstate. And I will tell you, the first one is patience, right? Because it takes a long time. Keisha's shaking her head. She's like, "Yeah, sure, it's taking a long time." So, what else would you say? What are some of the success factors or attributes of a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'll take this one. One of them is you have to be self motivated. As an entrepreneur, you actually have time. I call it time to burn. But what you do with that time is up to you. And you can either burn it out or you can burn it appropriately. And so there is no one that wakes me up each morning and says, Nick, it's time to get up. You know what I do? I have to wake myself up and say, Nick, it's time to get up. There's no one that says, hey, Nick, it's time for you to go and find clients and sell. You know what I have to do? I have to look and say, you know what? All right, world, where am I going today and who is going to buy what it is that I have to offer. Being self-motivated is something. Another attribute that you have to have as an entrepreneur is that you have to have faith. When I say that you have to have faith, I mean you have to believe that God is not going to let you fail. There are going to be times, and I believe, and I'm just speaking for myself, but as an entrepreneur, I've talked with other entrepreneurs, and there are times when the bills are high and you're figuring out, okay, how am I going to make it? If you have staff, there are going to be payroll issues potentially. So it really is trying to figure it out. Matter of fact, one of my phrases is that everything is figure outable. There are going to be times in which you have to leverage your resources. You have to be creative in terms of who you're going to pay this week, who you're not going to pay this week. But you have to have faith that, you know what, you are still going to be around and everything is figure outable. The last thing I would say is, as an entrepreneur, you have to leverage your resources. And one of the things that I loved about my FAMU experience is being able to network. And when I say network, it's not, getting a business card, letting it sit in your pocket and never call, but it really is building relationships. Because as an entrepreneur, your business relationships can serve as your fast track lane to getting things done. In my business, in my line of profession, I have to have access. People come to me because they expect me to have a certain degree of access. Now, I can, search the web and try to hunt somebody down on their Twitter and try to get access to them. Or I can know somebody who shot somebody, who stabbed somebody, and get access to that individual as well. Or I could have had a relationship with them, that one-to-one relationship, which is most important. So that's also another key attribute of entrepreneurship is leveraging your resources and your networks to get things done.
Nick, can I just chime in? You said something about your experience here at FAMU. I think we all went to FAMU. What's interesting is people talk about sort of the bad things that happen at FAMU, like the long. Are there still long lines in financial aid? You're shaking your head, yeah. Okay, but what you need to do is sort of turn those experiences into true opportunities. I would stand in financial aid line and talk to everybody, right? Just because you have time to do it. So when you're finding things that aren't necessarily going your way, figure out a way to convert them into some goodness. Because as Nick said, you you have to figure out how to best invest the limited time that you have. All of us only have 24 hours a day. Okay, Ed.
Yeah, I think one thing you also you have to be very confident in yourself and what you can do. Know what you can do. Um, Interesting enough, the whole idea of entrepreneurship wasn't on my radar. I came here as a chemical engineer. I was here with John Brown, came in together. Um, so one of the things that triggered what I was doing was, so I was in this organization on campus called Kappa Psi here, And um,
Chuckle, chuckle.
this small organization. And we used to do this thing called the Kapalua. You know, those days, I think, when I grew into a leadership position, I think I was the Paul Mark 1 year, and we tried to do it somewhere on Bannerman, somewhere in the field, somewhere towards Quincy, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the first time so kind of, I was a student now, so we had managing all these funds coming in, and one of the most difficult things you learn is being in a leadership position is, because of course we find a way to get ourselves suspended. So one of the things is being in a leadership position, and then you have to lead your peers. It kind of tests your mettle for real.
Yep.
So went through that, had the Lua, and we actually got burnt. I think the previous year we used Ticketmaster, and it was great, but they killed us with the fees when we went to collect the funds. So the following year, I decided, okay, we're not going to use Ticketmaster. Kind of took the initiative, and we went to the good old Moon. Is the Moon still here?
Moon is still here.
Yeah. So
We'll be there tomorrow night.
so we went to the Moon, and they did our tickets, but there was always a long line. We had some. I think that year we had Luke and a few people coming, so it was interesting. It was, you know, so we always had a line, at Moon, people buying tickets. But then we come to find out at the end of the event, went to the Moon to try and go settle, and the numbers they were talking about didn't match with what was at the venue. So we realized they had a manifest and they kind of double sold the tickets. But again, here we are students, and this is just a part-time thing. So there were no checks and balances, right? So we didn't kind of keep the staffs to double check and what have you. So that kind of kept some, even with that being the case, we also made some money for the organization, and so that kind of kept the wheel turning while I graduated and was working in Atlanta for a while. So during the next year, when Lua came around, I said, okay, there has to be a better way. Okay, so I built a little shopping cart at that time, um, did it, but we ended up, I think there was some lawsuit or something that happened with Lua, amazingly. So I never did Lua, so I started doing the first Fridays in Atlanta a little bit, and then kind of started that a little bit, and I realized this could be interesting. I looked at the market, and then at that time again, here I am working as a chemical engineer. So I had good credit. I bought a house. I was doing okay. So I went to the bank, said, hey, I have this business idea. What I'm going to do with ticketing. Look, there was really no fully owned black ticket producing company. The U.S. So I said, okay, this could be a start. So put something together and went to the bank, and they said, we can't give you any loan because there's no way you can compete with Ticketmaster. Oh, I'm like, oh, this. I spoke some French then, but so, so I mean, again, all that was just motivation. And then, so I had to kind of put a strategic plan together. I said, okay, I know I need to do this. I look at the numbers work. So while I was working, kind of did it, so I joined Team No Sleep, basically work during the day and then kind of burn the midnight oil. And somehow networking, I got a break after doing First Fridays in Atlanta for a little bit. My first break, which was I did the concert for Master P and Little Romeo in Mobile, Alabama, the stadium there. I mean, it was more a whim of me walking up to him through I did an event in Jacksonville, and I walked up to him and said, look here, I know you have this event coming. I know you're going to Ticketmaster, but look here, I can do this. And, I just made a pitch. And I guess he was more taken aback than anything else. And he gave me a chance. So I did that, and I realized, oh, this is better than the paycheck. So I had to say, okay, so, and one thing I advise again for entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs, you want to, yes, you want to jump off the ledge, but you kind of want to take calculated risks, right? So that being the case, I kind of changed companies and went and just got some insurance. So I became a Six Sigma black belt, I say just as a backup, as just in case this thing don't work out. So that's kind of how the whole thing. So after I did that, then I gained some more skill sets as to how to manage projects and do certain things, and so then I was kind of comfortable enough to you know take the chance and started this thing. And the good thing about it was that I didn't have to borrow anybody's money to do that. So I worked for me, right? Um, so that's kind of how that works. So if anything else, just be confident. Make sure and then people have to see the passion you have with what. So you could, and then Kisha would tell you, Kisha was one of my clients, and was, but I was doing other things. She moved different ways, but that's my girl. We did a few essences and stuff together. So you have to just tell your story and be passionate about it. People will come your way. So we did a lot of things, and it becomes word of mouth. Again, if you treat your clients well, actually be honest, be truthful. And sometimes if it's a failure and it's your fault, if you own up to it and kind of make corrections, word of mouth. I'd never bought an ad to say, come to Take Next, do this, X, Y, Z. No. But at one point in Atlanta and in the whole of the South, there wasn't any big event going on that Take Next was not doing. From the All-Star weekends to the Super Bowls to everything. Even here on FAMU, I did a few concerts here. So, so just, you got to grind. But,
I think what Ed also just described in listening to his story is the importance of stay with itness, right? Don't give up. If you know it's what you're supposed to do, stay with it, and people will see the passion and support your ideas.
And Cheryl, I would just like to add very quickly, surround yourself with excellence. We have in this, I'll just talk about in the US, a level of thinking that has become very comfortable with mediocrity. Service sucks in so many industries. People are not serving with excellence. So if you operate in excellence, you will win because you will go much farther than your competition because everyone is operating from a place of mediocrity. So please surround yourself with people who are smarter, who have different skills and talents, and who will go the extra mile to serve with excellence. It's a huge, huge, huge advantage for people who have that mindset.
It can make the difference in getting a contract and keeping a contract or not getting the contract at all. So, because we have students in the audience, and I know this is not necessarily an easy question, um, but can a few of you just tell me what coursework, what classes actually prepared you for school or to be an entrepreneur? Not, I know what prepared you for school, um, and I think I'm probably the oldest one in here. Do they still have PD and SBI, professional development? And do you all
I
still
would assume.
do you read the ropes to skip and the ropes to know? Maybe not.
A little different
A
now.
little different now. Okay.
It's evolved a little bit.
Okay. So who's going to take
I
that?
was an SPI student as well. And it's sad to say, I honestly can't think of one course. But what I can say is the FAMU environment in general is what I would say prepared me for entrepreneurship. We, like he was explaining about the Kapalua, we've all thrown events here at FAMU. Everybody even sitting on this panel.
exactly.
So I would think that you would get a lot of your skills even from your extracurricular. Don't get me wrong, your education is definitely your foundation. But I remember calling Keisha Walker as a student. I don't know if she remembers. And I was looking for sponsorship for whatever I was throwing at the time. I was always throwing something. And she was telling me tips. She said, okay, well, you need to wait till next quarter, and this is how this is going to go, and this is what you need to do. I don't even think I had pledged Delta yet. I was just that ambitious. And I was like, I need to place a call. I was wise enough just to seek counsel. But as far as this being a testing ground for so many different things that you can go on to do later in life, this is your time. This is your moment to hone in on those skills. This is your moment to build those relationships that Nick was just talking about. I can call Nick right now and say, hey, I need a few clients. And he'd be like, okay, what we doing? So this is your time right here to utilize this network. Because when they say your network equals your net worth, all of your success is going to be dependent upon who you choose to associate with. So when we were talking about like our FAMU experiences, don't get me wrong, I did well in school, graduated magna cum laude, so I know I did well in school. But the environment of FAMU was of more benefit to me than I would necessarily even say like a specific class. And I owned a business while I was in college. I owned a mall-based retail store in Tallahassee Mall.
I don't think it was necessarily a course at FAMU. I think it was the course of
I
life.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
coming from Jacksonville, Duval,
Duval.
and just going through the struggle
Right.
of just being happy to make it because we was always told either by 28 you're gonna be in jail or
Yep.
dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
So uh, being an entrepreneur was easy to me because the option to me was I could be dead or in jail. So I'm always pulled from that. I'm always pulled from how hard it was growing up. So you told me no one time, but the good thing about it, I'm still waking up with another
That's right.
opportunity. So I always I know friends who are in jail. I know friends who have died.
We got family in jail.
So
That I've got.
this gotta be easy. So the no's are like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get you next time. And then one of the things jokingly is like when you go to FAMU and get turned down by a woman, you know how that feel in the moment. So so when somebody tell you no, you like, man, I done seen that happen before. I'm gonna come back next week and try it again. And sooner or later, you will learn how to handle rejection and use it to push you to get the answer you ultimately want.
And I
Absolutely.
think that's a great point. For me, I actually came to school as an environmental science major, which is totally crazy, but they told me I had a lot of scholarship money. So I remember the turning point for me was when they had us out in the field at viticulture studying wine. I said, this is not going to work for my shoe collection, so I need to change my major. So I remember that day, I marched over to the School of Journalism and I said, y'all need to put me in this PR program. I'm a people person. I need to change my major. And from that point on, I said, I'm not afraid to start over. I might walk all the way for 4 years and end up in one career, and I'm not afraid to change. And I think that a lot of students feel like, God, I went to school to be a scientist. I can't be a dancer. I think that you need to understand that you have the choice to be whatever you want to be.
Absolutely.
Once you own it and you say, I'm going to do it, you do it to the best of your ability. And going to FAMU, I have learned that I know my worth and I'm going to add tax. A lot of people
I'm gonna.
and I think a lot of people are afraid to say, like, Keisha, she have her event. It's $50 to get in. I know everybody, so everybody come to the door. Everybody know Keisha. She says
Yep.
$50. I remember going to Essence Festival. I said, we got to buy these $50 tickets from Keisha. I said, we got to support her. But my event cost $50. But if for 10, 15 years, we've gone to Essence Festival, and everybody knows the white party Keisha throwing is the party. But she stayed resilient with my $50 fee, and she's made a great success from that. But learning from different individuals like her, say, I'm going to set my bar and I'm gonna stick to it. And if you're successful, and don't rely on your network. Say, well, Keisha didn't buy my ticket, I'm not gonna be successful. Keisha may not be my customer.
That's
It might
right.
be Keisha's friend that
That's
follows
right.
her, that will
That's
end
right.
up being my network. So I've learned that from trying to sell this art, and people saying $100 is too much, which is not. I stick to my price range, and I ended up in Killer Mike's barbershop with $1 million customers. So I'm not concerned about the no's that I've received. FAMU has taught me that no's don't mean it's a no.
Can I just pick up on a few points that you made in no particular order? Many of you have talked about the importance of relationships. And, Sonia's business focuses on girls and women loving each other. I will tell you, we need to start loving each other more, and we need to start here. That's what we were taught when we were in school. So I didn't have any beef with anybody. I loved the Deltas. We were all Beta Alpha. We were sisters. I loved the Zetas. It didn't matter. We were all sisters. And so the point that was just made is you never know when you're going to need to reach out and connect with somebody. So you better treat people right while they're here because you want them to answer the phone for you when you're there. I think that's point number one. Point number two is when you take a look at these entrepreneurs on the stage, and I think some of you may know many corporations have supplier diversity programs, and we do that because we understand the importance of economic growth. Minority-owned businesses, small businesses create more jobs in America than corporations. And guess what? They actually employ people that look like them. These people employ people that look like everybody in this room and others. So we can't ask Keisha for the freebie all the time because she has, how many employees you have, Keisha? She has 7 employees that have to get paid. And so when you think about the problems that we're seeing in our urban cities, I come from Chicago. Majority of our problems come from lack of jobs. And it's because we don't have a lot of people that look like this. So we also, again, we want you all to consider being entrepreneurs because we want you to be able to employ our community while adding great value to society as a whole. So I just wanted to pick up on that because, again, I'm proud of y'all. I'm so happy that we have you all as role models.
I want to drill down on the relationship piece though, and I didn't learn this from FAMU, and I've been gone from here for a long time, since 1994. Um, but I will tell you something I learned at Harvard Law School. The first day there, the professors were telling us to look to our left and look to our right. Somebody's going to be president in here. Somebody's going to be a senator. Somebody's going to have $100 million company. Who in here family has private jets? A lot of people in the room raised their hand. I came up on Delta in coach.
I know, right?
But I bring that up because what I have found on the level that I compete at is that students from historically black colleges, and I'm going to say this and I stand firm on it, are not taught to build relationships early. And it goes beyond who you know. You have to take the initiative. If I were here today, each of my professors I would have an ongoing relationship with. I would be on their books for lunch. If I'm interested in politics, I would be at that Capitol. I would be reaching out to people, volunteering my time on campaigns because people rise up through the ranks. I will be looking at the industry that I want to be in, whether it's tech, whether it's hair, selling weave, whatever. You have got to get with the people who are doing things. You got to get with people with money as well. And a lot of us don't know how to do that. See, I go out and raise money for a lot of my clients, millions of dollars. They don't know how to talk in front of people, but they hire me to do it. So I'm going back and forth to San Jose 8 to 9 times a year. And it's fine. But we need to learn those skills now. If you know you're going to need some money, he went to the bank. Guess what? He got good credit. A lot of my clients can't go to the bank, the entertainment ones. They can't go to the bank because you got to have credit and you got to have some collateral. Now, can you still do it without that? Absolutely. She brought up Twitter. I have clients who have raised money on Twitter. See, if you are persistent and you start building relationships with people, even virtually, somebody's going to remember you. You need to use LinkedIn. You need to use social media. If you're interested in something that Keisha Walker does, you need to look at who is she connected to. I've called her and I represent her. Keisha, I need such and such and such and such. Okay, hold on, let me make it happen. And she does the same thing for me. You've got to start now, and we don't do that. And there needs to be classes, there need to be meetups, and there needs to be more information to make you all do that because you cannot compete with people on the other side who are taught very early on to do that.
And
Preach.
just to echo that, I mean, went through the same thing. So after doing this thing for a while, I decided I need to go get some MBA from somewhere. So, so I went to Duke, and of course, it was just one of me and all of everybody else, right? So I made them a mission. If you go back there right now, they know about FAMU. I make sure of that. So, so point is, so we're in class, and you have people, private jets and coming in with all kind of how can I compete? In my group. So, so I have this rocket scientist, on my group. I mean, it's just amazing. Coming from FAMU, you're not really exposed to that, right? So that's the thing. So networking, and then at the end of the day, going to business school, plus minus, all you're doing, you're buying into a network. At the end of the day, it's a select network, right? So right now, if I walk into a room, I have enough network and I know how to deal with them to make it happen. So one of my passion, one of the things I still want to do is to be more like an incubator, help entrepreneurs, fund their projects. I'm passionate about those kind of things. So part of it is in my whole big plan about going to B school, getting that network, knowing how to speak that language and raise that capital that I couldn't raise when I was, starting out, right? So that's kind of some of the things that drive me. So that's why I kind of took that path, going back to school and doing that. So all it is, the schoolwork. I mean, we all got brains. We go through FAM. We can go through, we can do the work. It's just a matter of getting the chance and then building that network and making it happen. So don't be afraid to cross the line, go, go to the other side to build a network. It's okay. You know what you want. So just be true about it.
Precious, thank you for that, Ed. Precious, you talked about how you raise money for your clients.
I do.
And, we may have some young students in the audience that have great ideas.
You can get my card.
Yeah. Yep. See, that's what I'm talking about. And if she gives you her card, you gotta follow up.
I want to talk to you. The venture capitalists they love young minds.
Yes.
It's amazing. Now, I'll tell you something else. A lot of us don't like young minds. Y'all know not to put me on this panel because I'm going to keep it real. I have found that sometimes in certain groups, it's harder to raise money from African Americans. You got clients that come in, they need $5 million. And they're just like, well, I don't even know anybody with $1 million. Well, I do. And getting those people in the room to take a chance on a kid is harder than getting into a room with some white men, usually, and some Asians who will take a chance because they know that you are at the ground level. And they want to invest in you, but you've got to it has to be a package. And if you can't do it, you need to partner with someone who can. And strategic partnership. I'm not just talking about equity. I don't want to get too deep, but you don't have to give up all of the business, but you need strategic partnerships to get what you need. First idea. What is it that's missing out there? Think about it. I was on a panel the other day and they said, well, in entertainment, Georgia's now number 3 with Terrell, is that his name? Whitley?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we were at UPS. UPS invited us over. So they were like, where are the jobs with entertainment in Atlanta? Well, I talked to the people at Marvel and Pinewood because I got to get out of just the African American entertainment community. I got to be in the white community, the Asian community, and any other community. And I told them that from my conversations, they said they don't have enough plasters. And plasters are in such high demand that they are flying plasters over from London. What does that mean? There has to be somebody or maybe you can get into it, and they're paying big money. There aren't enough people in special effects and specialty makeup. There are some women who could they could beat your face to Jesus come home. Take those skill sets and make it something else because they don't have enough people to make the gory blood and all the other stuff that freaks me out. They're flying those people in. And Marvel is a big company. They're about to be filming Captain America. Do you know that 20% of the people that they have in Atlanta from other places have bought a home there now? It's going down. So don't just think about things in a microcosm. What is it that you do well or that that somebody else does well? Relationships. Friend of mine from school, Will, he was never in our law school classes. He was always on the business school campus. He wanted to be with people like you. We're like, Will, we're tired of giving you the notes. But he knew that if he could get with people who were building businesses and offer his services as a general counsel, as a law student, that was going to change his life. And guess what? It did, because at graduation, they sold a company for his share was $3 million. Now, we were still in law school. He came to law school on the Greyhound from Austin, Texas.
So it's real. The opportunity is real. What advice would you give to someone in the audience that actually has an idea right now, today? How do you tell them to get started?
Before you guys answer, if at any time, if you have a question, please come up.
Yes.
Because what I found with doing this is you say, I'm going to wait till it's open. Then you forget the question. So capture the moment, verbalize it, go ahead and get it out here. It's some amazing talent here, and everybody volunteered their time, so we're here for you. If you're a little shy for whatever reason, we will have breakouts afterwards, and you can go in the back and talk one-on-one with any of these individuals at their table about their background and what they're doing. And I forgot to say, I want a very special thanks to Allstate and Accenture, our corporate partners and sponsors, to student activities for making today happen for us, and to student affairs, because without them, we wouldn't be here today. And FAMU and Alabama State were the only two schools last year who took a chance in doing this. And now we've expanding it to a total of 10 college campuses between this fall and the spring of 2017. So I really appreciate my own alma mater, believing in insights and the idea and vision we had and helping it to come to light. So thanks to Brandy and Brandon Tatum and Mr. Sandifer. Marvin Green was the original brainchild of me Pioneer, who's now over in athletics. So I want to thank all of them, and very special thanks to Cheryl. She is literally worldwide. And for her to change her calendar, because she wasn't supposed to be here until tomorrow, and she came in a day early for me to make this happen. So you've got some amazing talent, some of the best people in their industries here. So capitalize on this moment, because you may not ever get a chance to see and or talk to them again.
We actually did have a question.
Oh, I was going to answer
Okay,
your question
well, you
real
answer me,
quick.
and then we'll get the questions lined up at the mic.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be too long-winded so that we can have time to answer your questions. But we haven't spoken about mentoring yet. And having mentors, and I know Keisha talked about Cheryl, and Cheryl was a mentor for me as well. Mentoring is absolutely necessary to go to your next level of excellence. You have got to make sure that you engage with people who have been where you want to go or who are real close to it so that you can learn from them. It is my intention as I mentor people to have my mentees go farther faster. I don't want you to do the same things and make the same mistakes and go through the same trial and error that I did. If I have a relationship, now you got to be ready. You got to come correct. Your stuff got to be tight because we're not going to open up our networks to you if you're not making sure that everything is decent and in order. But when it is, a mentor can open up a variety of opportunities, a plethora of opportunities. The opportunities are endless. The only thing that can hold you back is you. Is this stuff that's self-talk, that stuff that goes and swirls in your mind and in your head that says, no, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Mama may have said I wasn't right. Father may have said I wasn't right. And you go back and pull on that stuff. No. But if you have people who can pour into you, and mentors are really, really key and critical in helping you, that's one very, very, for me, it's been a huge opportunity for me to be able to show up the way that I need to and take that path to entrepreneurship and what I'm doing today.
Can I just pick up on 2 points there? Thank you, Sonia, for mentioning that. First thing is, if you are blessed enough to have a mentor, you're then obligated to pay it forward. You can't just give and take. I'm sorry, you just can't take and not give back. So when I sit down with my mentees, that is first and foremost the one thing that we talk about. You're now obligated to
That's right.
sort of give back. The second thing is, actually, there are three things. Second thing is, you won't know if someone will say yes to you if you never ask.
That's right.
I'll put it out there, and I know it's being taped. He might kill me later. I sent an email to the CEO of Aetna Insurance just last week. We sat on a board together. I said, I need a mentor. I'm waiting for his response. Now he's going to see this clip, and he's going to have to do it. But the third thing is, and our mentors don't have to look like us.
No,
I will tell you, some of the best mentors I've had
that's right.
have been white men.
That's right.
Again, going back to Sonia's now, they have not been my only mentors, but guess what? They had insights,
Yeah.
access, resources that we just don't have. So don't sort of confine yourselves to saying that the only people that can mentor you or teach you
Yeah.
are people that look like us.
That's right.
Baby, you got to be open because the world is global and it's diverse.
That's right.
And there's a lot of learning within that.
If we could, there was a question that you had asked, and that's regarding, what if you have an idea? And I want to touch on that quickly because as an entrepreneur, sometimes your passion is driven by a specific idea. The first thing when you have an idea is you have to protect it because people will steal your ideas.
Yes.
All right. Um, you just can't be loose lips about it. You have to put things in place, non-disclosures, whatever you need to do to legally protect yourself in case somebody tries to say that the idea that you presented is their idea. The next thing you need to be able to do is to be able to explain your idea. Now, what do I mean by explain your idea? You can't be long-winded in terms of, trying to get people to understand what it is that you want to do. It has to be very clear and concise for a number of reasons. If you are trying to seek financial, funding or what have you, um, you need to understand it to even put together your plans. I look at business plans, and I'm not a big fan of them for anything other than it helping your own business because banks just don't lend like they used to. So if you do it, you can spend time planning to do business, or you can just do business by getting customers. And that goes to my last point is you have to figure out how to monetize your idea, because that's what being an entrepreneur is. You're making money, all right? You have to make money because if you're not making money, and if you're, then you're not in business. That's the whole concept of business is, a transactional exchange. And so figuring out how to monetize. So look at this right here. She put a value on, she came up with the idea of her art. And then she went from there and, determined, hey, this is my specific price point and identified who her customers were. So part of that monetization is who's going to buy this? Sometimes you might have an idea and don't have a clue in terms of who's actually going to purchase it. And so you have to take a step back and do that necessary research and then promote your idea to the specific audience that might have an affinity for whatever it is your idea is. So, it's not just about having an idea, but it's being able to take that idea, protect it. Once you protect it, really be able to explain it, identify who would want to purchase it, and then figure out how do you monetize it so that you can actually turn that idea into a full-blown business.
Thank you so much, Nick. So we have a few questions from the audience.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm really appreciating all the insight, the wisdom, and experience that you all are sharing. I'm a faculty member here at FAMU in psychology, and I really am struggling with some issues in terms of how to get students to be more responsive to the opportunities that exist here at this university and in our community. And, I often say to myself, well, thinking back when I was their age, if I knew what I know now, knew then, if I knew that then, oh, I would be, probably rich at this particular point. But, and I think just getting past that barrier of how to give them whatever it is that they need at this point so they can use it while they are young and while they can actually begin to benefit from that and take that out and apply it, their lives also could be quite different than some of the things that they might end up doing. So I'm just kind of just searching for your thoughts, your ideas about how to do that. I have a class of about 60 some people who are all supposed to be here today. Mm. They're not here, and this is for credit, kind of a thing. We have I had a community project that we were doing this past weekend. And I didn't require everybody to be there, but I was giving them extra credit. Out of those 60 some people, only about 3 people actually showed up for it. But it was a great opportunity for doing all the things that you're talking about in terms of networking, in terms of learning various what's going on in the community. All those things were available, but getting students sometimes to take advantage of that is really, really very challenging. So I was just wondering if you could speak to that.
Can I start? I think that's a good question because when I was in college, uh, I was in SBI and I did extremely well, but SBI was too busy telling me that I needed to dress up, that I needed to fit in the corporate environment, and even at the dean at the time, sometime in conversation we clashed because I appreciate it, I applaud SBI. I think it's the best thing, but I knew I was a fish out of water. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. but they wanted to every day I went to class, it was how do you perform in corporate America? And when I left there, I was like, I'm never coming back because they didn't even try to hear my voice. They just tried to send me through a program. And dealing with young people, because I deal with them every day, they really want to hear their voice. They want you to hear what they care about. And if you are not trying to hear what they care about, they just block you out. And I was in that position. I was like, what is this professional development? You're not teaching me how to telling me how to make money. You're not trying to free me. You're trying to enslave me to this corporate. And I was, but that was my mentality. I was a brother from the hood. I was a little loose, so it was like we're not gonna meet in the middle because I'm telling you I want to be free, and you're telling me how I fit in a box. And I think a lot of the kids today are very free spirited with their thoughts, and you got to find how to embrace them, not to try to just make them be what you want them to be.
I'm going to offer a counter to that, but I will hold my peace. Yes, please.
I'm yeah, because I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I do agree with you having to reach students where they're at. My experience was slightly different. Dean Mobley was aware that I was somewhat of a fish out of water. After my first internship, because we had to have three to graduate, I went into her office and I cried. And she said, Erin, I knew you were special when we got you because Mr. O'Hare Hanna was the recruiter. He came up to Detroit to recruit me. And I said, I'm not about to finish if I got to keep going through this. And she said, I know. She said, I know you have a store. She said, I'm going to let your last two internships be your store so you could be here, be an entrepreneur, and do what you want to do. Her just belief was that I'll teach you the skills of business. If entrepreneurship is in you, you'll just apply them there. That was her belief. And like I said, it worked out for me. Now, I do think that there is something going on with the culture of the campus currently. Like you said, this is an amazing opportunity. I know when I was in school, I would have raced to get down here to see us. The people on this panel, and this is not to expose ages, other than Melissa, I think that's the only one here that was in school with me. But yet I know them. He's looking like, huh? I'm being serious, not to expose ages, but these are people that I could still pick up the phone and call. So we were eager for those opportunities, but you definitely have to reach them where they're at. Maybe the extra credit wasn't that what would have lured them in. Maybe a motivational video of what we do and where we're at in life would have probably been a bigger attraction to bring them in here versus just saying extra credit. So it just may be in the tools that are being used. Because like I say, right now, social media is hot. If the kids saw how we were living on social media, they probably would have been here. They definitely wouldn't. You wouldn't even have to sell them on extra credit. You can just sell them on lifestyle. And they'll say, I desire that freedom in life. I desire those options that entrepreneurship presents. So some of the things are just, and more so 21st century tactics. That's just my personal feedback.
Please.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was just going to say social media. It's just about marketing. You have to market everything to them. And I know that when I had about 200 followers on my art page maybe a month and a half ago. I did a free art show one place. I actually started writing. I sat up one night and followed every black art page that I knew. And I said, hey, just check this out, check this out, check this out. And within probably to this day right now, almost 1,000 followers on my art page, just because I understood. I said, you know what, let me flip this information. Let me use social media to my advantage. And I think with young people, like you said, we're a very visual society. Everybody wants to see how things look. If they see how we're traveling, how we're living, and how we went from, my parents grew up in a two-bedroom duplex and what they were able to accumulate. So I think just showing people what the people that you're trying to bring them to, what they were able to accomplish, I think that might be able to draw them in a little bit better.
And I spend a lot of time with young people. I think I'm 21. And so, because they keep me very youthful and keep me up on the latest and greatest, I would say that one of the things that I notice about millennials, and I love this about them, a lot of it is what's in it for me? How do I benefit? And when you can give them the value proposition, oh my gosh, you have to rein them in when they truly understand how those pieces of the puzzle fit together. See, millennials, and this is what I tell my corporate clients, in order for them to attract and retain, and so the same for my sister over here, Cheryl, if you think you're going to attract these amazing young minds and retain them, the way that business is done today, it'll never happen. They'll never come. And you'll be missing out on some of the greatest ideas and minds out here. You have to be able to, again, meet them where they are, but what's in it for them. And then if you say that you are going to have a culture that's inclusive, whatever you say, whatever the talk is, the walk better line up. Because when it doesn't, for millennials, y'all shut it down. See, we stayed in the environment. Oh, this isn't quite lining up the way that they said it was, but it's okay. We're going to stay. We're going to engage anyhow. Millennials will just leave. Millennials will shut it down. And so making sure that they understand what's in it for them, the social media, the tools, the how has been how I've been able to engage them and really bring them along with understanding the power of relationships and understanding for girls and women the power of sisterhood. Because see, mean girls grow up to be mean women if there's no intervention.
Yep.
We gotta change some stuff because we'll take each other out. Men, you all might not like each other, but you're not as treacherous and vicious as we can be. And so again, all of this is critically important, but you gotta help them understand what's in it for them.
Yeah, okay, let me just add real quickly. As someone who has spent billions of dollars with minority owned businesses in my career, the reason that they fail is because they don't have the basic business acumen. And I think that's the point that was raised earlier. So a class in accounting, a class in finance, a class in marketing, we actually had entrepreneurship when I was here. Statistics, they're all relevant and they're all applicable. So I think that, when the youth, I don't want to call them kids, when the youth, I actually have 5 kids. I have 3 of my own and I have my sisters too. They range in age from 9 to 19 and they're very different than we were. And there's a lot of statistics on millennials, and Sonia's right. They don't go to work for money. They go to work because it feels right or the organization they connect to helps them live into their purpose.
That's right.
And I have studies, if you all are interested, compensation was number 7 out of 10 attributes. So all the points that were made were spot on. And if we can't give it to them, they will go someplace else. So meeting students where they are, as well as remembering that this is the generation that has grown up with computers in their hand. We can't communicate to them with this stuff, with archaic systems, archaic communications. It has to have bling, it has to have flair. Otherwise, they're not going to consume it. So it's about, I hate to say it, if we're not careful and we change sort of the way we do business, then they won't. I know they're not coming to work for Allstate. Just straight up. It's insurance, it's boring, they don't want to join us. So we're having to change to make sure that we have talent that wants to work with us. FAMU has to change to make sure we have students that want to come here because we can help them for the lives that they want to have tomorrow. I know we have another question from the audience.
Yes, my name is Jason Henderson. I want to say thank you for putting on this entrepreneur summit. I'm also a graduate of Florida A&M. I commend each one of you who are up here. It's really important when you stress the ideal of what is success, what is when you move to become significant. I feel it from each one of you. You're very passionate about it. I would like for you guys to share with the students how important it is on the credibility that each one of you stand on, being a graduate of Florida A&M, how you move from being a student to moving to your industry, how important your credibility, because you guys are very modest. I hear that we have graduates of Harvard, we have graduates with double summa cum laude. You guys have done outstanding from this university and the product that FAMU produces. You guys are all-stars. So if you could just share with the students who are here how important it is to have that credibility to be in the industry that you exist.
I can start off with that one. From a FAMU perspective, um, FAMU brings with it a lot of credibility because from FAMU there's come just a truckload of greatness. We talk about the Harvards of the world, but I look at FAMU, and this is a black version of that, right? In terms of just the number of successful, whatever and however you define success, but the number of successful people that have come out of this university, and then also not only coming out of this university, but stay connected along the way. And that's the unique thing about this system, this ecosystem here. I've had people that I've worked with and said, "You guys are a cult. You're a cult." And I think that's because the one thing that each and every Rattler is instilled with before they leave this campus is a sense of pride. I have a graduate degree from the Ohio State University, but you know what I talk about most? I talk about my FAMU experience. Yes, I love Ohio State, but it cannot compare in my eyes to what it is that I learned and I gained here from me. FAMU does not my life does not make sense without FAMU in it. Within those 4 years, I gained lifelong friends. I found a wife, a business partner. I mean, the trajectory of my life would have been completely different had FAMU not been a part of it. And I take with that the pride of FAMU with me. And so when I talk about it, people see me and they now correlate the university to it. Even throughout the storms that the university has had over the course, of these years. I mean, they still look at, within my circles as FAMU just as, big and as great of a university as any Ivy League school out there because of the types of individuals that have come from this university and how we present and carry ourselves along the way, either from an entrepreneurial perspective, in corporate, in community, because we have several different, it's not just about business, but I mean, we have FAMUans or Rattlers that go through all lanes of, medical, engineering. I mean, you name it, we're there, legal. And I think the school just represents appropriately. And, Rattlers have a sense of pride and they take that with them into their communities and spread the word about it.
That sums that up.
You have a great. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Hello, everybody. I'm
Hello.
Sydney Russell, a graduating senior from music industry. So, yeah, I'm gonna read it off on my phone just so you guys I can convey my question. Do you have any experiences where your faith and the way that you live your life according to God's word has made you make any decisions that was against your business or wasn't beneficial for your business?
Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm interject before anybody has to even answer. Any decisions according in alignment with God's word is never against my business. That's first and foremost. But as all, I'm pretty sure majority of us up here are Christians, if not all. I'm not sure. I'm just more so assuming from the ones that I do know. But that is my guidance. If I feel that something is wrong in my spirit, I don't touch it. Anytime I have gone against it, it has been pure hell. And I have no problem with saying that. I'm serious. It has been pure hell. You said you're a graduating senior in music industry. Is that a major here at FAMU?
Yes.
Okay, you have to forgive me. When I was in school, that was not a major. I worked in the music. Well, I guess you would say some would still do if I come out of retirement. But I'm Chris Brown's old personal tour publicist, Lil Wayne's old personal publicist. The list goes on and on and on. And there was a time, because in the music industry, it can get very dark. Um, to where I had to just that's why I said step away. Nothing against those people individually personally. I was just rattling off names. But the music industry is very can be very demonic. Just point blank period. You see a lot. There's stuff that I've seen that I'm just gonna take with me on to the grave. That it can really pull at your soul. So I had to make some decisions that were just best for me. And I'll never forget Wayne was looking at me like, "You're not happy." I said, "I'm not." He said, "What do we have to do to get you happy?" So they let me have the office. I sat up there and got a plan to move whatever my next phase of life was just going to be. And that's when I ended up going off and starting Fearless. But I would never go against it. Like I said, in the times that I have, it's definitely has not been to my benefit.
I will. I think the one time that it happened for me, it was a subtle thing. The success was coming at a rapid pace, and I started looking at the money, and I started wanting more of it. And it took me being discerning that at the end of the day, it's really not about this. And sometimes when you do have success, and it's your surrounding, everybody's applauding you, you can lose yourself. But if you got a strong moral compass, you'll get back to center. And sometimes you hope to do that before God has to intervene and shut some stuff down. But so to me, it wasn't no the external sinful nature. It was just, man, I'm starting to like this. You start to like waking up, being able to do what you want to do, go where you want to go, buy the house you want to buy, and always have access to those resources. I mean, you're not careful, you can get lost.
And I just want to add that your peace is priceless.
Mm.
That you can't put a price on what makes you happy, and that's what I decided. I work for the government. I was literally felt like a robot. Wake up, go to sleep, go home. Wake up, go. I mean, I said this is not it. And so when I found my calling, I found my purpose. I said this makes me happy. So when I put a price on that, I said, there's nothing that anybody at work can tell me that could make me happy when I leave here. So I took the responsibility of my peace and of my happiness, and you have to do that in your career. If the music industry doesn't serve you, guess what? You can go be a dancer. You can go become a photographer. You can become a painter. It's okay to start over, but your peace cannot be bought. And remember that you can walk away if you don't like it, even if you're making those $175,000, walk away. Because at the end of the day, if when they write that obituary and you have all those pictures, you want to be smiling in all of those because nobody else can give you that smile. It's a priceless thing to have. So protect your peace, honey.
What do you want to do in the music industry? We want to help you. You got talent up here. I mean, tell us what you want to do.
Well, I want to save souls. That's what I want to do
How?
through music. Honestly, I started off criminal justice. And me going into music industry was a step of faith. Honestly, it was like I woke up, boom, you need to do music industry. I'm like, what? Next thing I knew, I was in the choir. It was all just kind of unraveled. So honestly, um, I don't know exactly how it's gonna play
What
out.
career? That's what she's asking.
Oh,
What career?
So we can talk about that
At the table.
in one of the breakouts.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and we got a gospel concert tomorrow night. It was Saturday night with JJ Harris, and he'll be here, and he can also give you some insight because he also saves souls. Oh no, not at all. But we've got some more questions, and we also want to have time for the breakouts and get everybody out of here hopefully by 5:30.
Before you leave, before you take your seat. Okay, so let me say this to you. Each of us has a brand, and your reputation and the consistency of showing up the way that you desire to show up each and every time in every aspect of the business that you have, or whatever it is you want to do, whatever we're doing, that integrity and that consistency of showing up in that regard is so important. And so when you make these one off decisions, you go away from trusting the gut, because this is your internal GPS. This is how the Holy Spirit speaks to you. And if you compromise that for anything, and I've seen it so many times, it's detrimental. Now, you can recover, folks can recover from it, but it's detrimental because again, if somebody picks up the phone and say, "Hey, do you know such and such? Do you know so and so? Oh yeah, and when I worked with her, this is how she rolled." Oh, well then I don't want that. I don't want any of that. We all already have enough dysfunction. We ain't trying to buy into other folks' dysfunction. So be very, very cautious and very, very careful about how you protect your brand. Companies spend billions and billions and millions of dollars protecting their brands. And we have to do the same thing. And showing up with that consistency and operating with integrity at all times is critically important.
If I can interject quickly, because I do want to touch upon, the whole concept of faith and also in business and entrepreneurship. And what I want to touch upon is this. Um, you know, when you have or when you're trying to make a next step, it's very important that um, you hear that it's time from God, that it's time for you to move. Um, Sometimes we just go and we move and we take a step, and it's not because God has told us you need to take that step. It's because we've decided that that's what we want to do. And, quite frankly, there are times in which you'll be like, okay, hey, you go forth and you go and do it. But um, as uh, as some of the panelists have stated, at least in my experience, it's been those times in which I've done that without getting that affirmation that yes, it's time, or yes, I need to do that, that it has been the most challenging. And so, you know, I cannot talk about entrepreneurship without talking about faith because the two just, at least in my life, they just don't align. It's a combination because it really requires you to do that. I call it jumping out of a window and then figuring out how to fly. Nothing, there's nothing that can really prepare you for the journey of entrepreneurship. It's one in which you really have to just go out there, take a chance, but you want to take that chance knowing that God is on your side and that He's like, yep, you're clear for takeoff, and not you just being the one out there saying, you know what, I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm gonna just go out there and go on a limb anyway. Not to say that it won't work, but um, it won't be as clear of a path.
So, on that note, we'll take one more question from the audience.
Oh, my Facebook page.
Thank you for coming.
Social media. Thank
Yes, sir.
Um, my name's Teron Johnson Jr. Thank you all for being here. May you all just explain the process in which it took to grow and expand your brand to I know one of you was speaking, you started kind of local and reached out. So could you explain like the process in which you took to I know you explained you got to start with an ideal and then secure it to no one else steals it.
Okay, let me take that. I think it's got to be with this whole thing. In my case, I think I just worked up on it, right? It was something that happened on campus. It wasn't from any class that I took. I'm a chemical engineer by degree, right? So that has nothing to do with my degree at all. It was the extracurricular activities I did. So I am a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Okay, so it was there, and one of our mantra is training for leadership. So I assumed a leadership role, and I had to manage this behemoth called Lua, the Kappa Lua. So I have to come up with a way to get it done. So you pick up all those skill sets from there, and after the event, you know you realize. So you graduate and you go back, you realize, there's some things I did there that could be monetized, right? And so that's so with the whole faith thing. I also believe that faith without works is dead, right? So you want to take a chance, you better make sure jump out the window, you better figure out how to fly before you land. At least have a plan. You know what I mean? So don't you have to start small. So again, have confidence in yourself, be passionate about what you want to do, and really, believe in yourself and network. There are people who have tried to do what you want to do before. They might have failed, they might have been successful. Especially those who failed, you want to learn what they did and failed. So that way you can, just hurdle, go over that and then do the other things that they didn't try. Okay.
If I can add to that, I'm a big branding person, and I believe that people make determinations about you, whether or not they're going to do business with you, whether or not they want to connect with you, from the first few moments that they meet you, right? And so I'm one that believes that you as an individual, you are a brand. Same way that Coke is a brand, or Nationwide, or Allstate, or Accenture, they are all brands. You are a brand as well, and your brand or your business is your name. And so there is uh, perceptions that are made that you have to be aware of. So you have to understand, first of all, if you are, trying to do business or being in business, who are your peers and who are the ones that are going to be the ones that are going to write you a check. And What is it that they're accustomed to seeing? I'll give you a for instance. I'm in advertising and marketing. This blazer doesn't work in a corporate environment if I'm a lawyer. They're looking at me like, okay, that nice blazer is just not appropriate for the environment in which we're in. However, within the environment that I'm part of, it is appropriate. So you have to understand what circles you're trying to be about. But really, it's putting together this is, who you are from how you walk, how you talk, how you dress, who you interact with, what you do online, what you don't do online, the places you go and the places you don't go. They all speak to you as an individual in terms of branding. And that helps you. Again, I look at things, what are going to be things that can help you go down the fast track of life? You establishing a way to make yourself different from the crowd. My sister right here, she is different from the crowd, but it falls in alignment with where she is in her life, in her business. It fits. It fits. You have to do the same thing wherever you are trying to go in life from a personal branding perspective. How do you stand out? How are you that bright light? I look at there are 1,000, you know, dots in the sky. How do you become that one red one so that people can notice you and notice you in a positive way that can help impact your overall career and ultimately your business?
I have a
And I'll
question
tell.
for him. When you said about starting local and growing larger, is there something currently you're working on that you're looking to grow?
Be careful what you share.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I ain't about to steal it, but I'm trying to help you.
Well,
Actually, why don't we hold that? And we're
for
about
the
to
back table.
transition
Yeah.
to the tables in 1 minute, but I just want to close out. I know, Sonia, you had a point that you wanted to
Hmm.
make generally.
Okay. So I'll just share with you how I began to think about my brand. So I mentioned to you all before that I saw my movement in a book, in a dream. It was literally, I was asked to speak at an inaugural event for President Obama's first inauguration on Capitol Hill, and I saw the Sister Accord in a dream. Now, what I decided to do, because I was solving for problems and issues that I saw, whether it was in the workplace or school or what have you, and this whole notion of how girls and women were interacting with each other. I decided to have an umbrella theme for my company, uniting the world on one accord. So I have the Sister Accord, and so you heard me say I'm on a mission to get 1 billion girls and women to learn how to love themselves and love each other. We have the Brother Accord, we have the Marriage Accord. So there's this theme of relationships and learning how to love and all of that that then links up to uniting the world on one accord. My first book was 51 Ways to Love Your Sister. The next one next year is 51 Ways to Love Your Children. So again, you see, so sort of that chicken soup for the soul model, right? So, and because my movement and my books and everything went global, this is a global phenomenon. So then, even though I started on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., I was able to then take that and expand it because I had come upon a universal truth. This wasn't just about black girls and black women or white women, it was all women. I don't care what socioeconomic status. And now, when we think about and expand that to men, boys and men, there's some issues that we need to address there. And now, when I expand that to marriages, there's some conversations that need to be had around that. So for me, it was about what am I trying to do? What am I trying to solve? What is my legacy? And then how do I structure my business so that I can meet the needs of the individual people that I'm targeting? So that just gives you an example for how I did it. And I have a for-profit side and a nonprofit side to my business.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, without me knowing your idea, this is what I would suggest. You don't have to always have an idea to make a big impact. You just need people. You need a conversation. So whatever it is, I advise you to get the book Content Inc. So what you can do based on what any idea it is, you can build a conversation. You're in the digital age from an online forum, whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's a blog, you take one of those entities and you start the conversation. As the conversation grows and the people are engaged, you'll always have something to sell them. So you just keep the conversation going. I always tell people all the time now that this whole new content ink thing is going on and at the whole digital age, you actually don't even need an idea to make a business. You don't even need money to make a business. You need people. The second you have a crowd of people that are connected, that are behind a force of something, you will always be able to sell something to them. So my advice to you is to continue to start the conversation. Have the email newsletter go out every single week. Have your blog going out consistently. Continue to build the conversation around whatever this idea is, and you will always have something to sell them, and it will grow organically.
All right, thank you. So what we're now going to do is transition to the sort of one-on-one sessions that we have with our panelists. But first, can I just ask you to give my esteemed colleagues a warm thank you?
I am Melissa Mitchell. I'm bringing you greetings from Atlanta, Georgia, and today was an absolute treat to be a part of the HBCU Entrepreneurship Summit. I actually learned a lot even from the panelists, just owning your brand and you are your brand and walking away with understanding that everything that you do is towards your brand. And it was a privilege to sit with such esteemed panelists and to pour into the lives of budding entrepreneurs, whether they were current students, graduates, and just people who just wanted to soak up some knowledge. So it was definitely a blessing to be here today.
Hello, I'm Santana Johnson from Centurion Wealth Advisors. Today was an excellent opportunity. I look forward to sharing with young people and motivating them. So it made me think about where I was 20 years ago, and if I had someone to motivate me in this opportunity, how I would have greatly appreciated it. So I wanted to extend the same opportunity to the young men and women at Florida A&M, and it really motivated me being around other successful Florida A&M University graduates.
Hey everybody, I'm Arian Simone Reed and I'm the CEO of Arian Simone Enterprises, and it is my joy to be right here back at home at FAMU's campus at the Entrepreneurship Summit. This is an amazing time because so many students on campus have so many businesses they're looking to start. So many have so many businesses they have already started. So today we had a panel full of experts, a lot of business experience. People were giving different nuggets as far as what they could do in their business, how to run their business, and how to succeed in their businesses. It was truly a time of just information, education, and inspiration. If you missed it, you definitely missed out. It was definitely the place to be.
Hey, this is Nick Nelson, Chief Marketing Officer of Liquid Soul, and I'm at the HBCU Entrepreneurial Summit here at Florida A&M University. Annually, Insights Marketing has assisted HBCUs and across the country in terms of helping to bring relevant topics to their campuses. This year is without exception, where we are here talking about entrepreneurship. Now, what I've learned is that there is still a drive here at FAMU and a vigor to learn about information in terms of how do you start your own business? How do you find other ways to be successful besides taking the corporate route? There was an interest here when I was attending Florida A&M, but it wasn't as great as I see it now, so I'm glad to see that. What I was able to contribute to the conversation was just my insights in terms of how do you start your business, learning about how personal branding plays into that, but then also being able to explain what your brand is. As a part of being an entrepreneur, you have to attract the right people to you so that you're not wasting your time, but you also want to be attractive to your right customers, those individuals that are going to want to engage with you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ariana Marshall. I'm a FAMU alum. I'm actually based in Barbados. I run a Better Caribbean program where we work with entrepreneurs in sustainability and also businesses that are trying to be more environmentally responsible. So I came here just to see how students were engaging with these panelists that have built their brands. I also am attracted to anywhere where there are entrepreneurs to kind of see if any of the ideas they're discussing are related to the environment. And what I learned from this is that it is a challenge to get students here, but in the day and age of getting it out with social media, it's not a lost cause if the numbers aren't necessarily here. So that's one thing that I always see here. But one thing I learned is the importance of understanding that there's not an expiration date on networking or building relationships. So even if you have just graduated or you just started FAMU or it's been 4 years since you graduated, you can always tap back into the community that is being built with the FAMU network. So that is always very rich and very vibrant whenever I come back to FAMU to visit. And I think that's something that all students need to realize, regardless of where you are in your studies, if you graduated, that the family is really rich and it's really wealthy, and wealthy in terms of the people resources, and we don't always have to think in terms of financial resources. And you have these brilliant people here that are just waiting to give you ideas and support you. So that's one thing that I think will continue to be a lesson when it comes to these types of summits.
Hello, I'm Precious Anderson. I am the managing attorney of a firm I founded in Atlanta, the Anderson Firm, which is a legal and business boutique. I am also a producer for A Precious Production, an author, and a speaker across the United States. I love being here at the summit. I love FAMU. I bleed orange and green. Some of the things that I took from the summit are that some of the people on the panel, we have taken so many different roads to get to where we are. There's not one road to get to where you are. But one thing is for sure, you have to believe in you. You don't have to take everything that is said straight to heart. Take pieces of a person's story that apply to you and use it to the fullest. I believe that here today, as an attorney, as a mother, and an entrepreneur, I have added another piece to what could happen. I mean, I'm from Quincy, Florida, which is a little small town that you all have probably heard of and drove through. But I can tell you this. I added to the summit that whether you're from a country town or a big city, you too can make it. Keep going, Rattlers. We are all in this together.
So my name is Ed Benson. I'm with Take It Annex, and so this conference has been enlightening in that just being able to hear other entrepreneurs share their experiences, and then kind of listen to some of the students, ask questions, which were some of the questions I had when I was in their shoes, and being able to share my experience was actually gratifying. So I look forward to doing this again. It's definitely been a pleasure, and I'm glad I came back. FAMU.
Hello, this is Sonia Jackson Miles. I am the founder, CEO of the Sister Accord LLC and the Sister Accord Foundation. Boy, I tell you, it was an amazing day. This summit is so powerful to be able to have all of these amazing presenters share their insights, their passion, and their dedication to entrepreneurship with students here at Florida A&M University. Was just an amazing time. I am just so full because I took away just as much as I'm hopeful that I planted and gave to the students this evening. We have so many bright minds. And so for me, I'm just encouraged about the future of my organization and other entrepreneurs, companies here, because the future is bright because of these great minds that we have with all these amazing ideas. And so I'm just really thankful to have this opportunity. Thank you, Keisha and Insights Marketing, for having me and for putting on something so special for our students and for our future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary White. I'm from Tallahassee, work for the city of Tallahassee. What did I learn from the summit today? Actually, the panel, they were great. They were awesome. I learned an array of different things. The steps I should take to start a business. First of all, most of the panelists said first, it has to be a feeling. You got to feel it. You got to know that it's something that you want to do, and put God first. You got to, pray. That's the number one priority there. And to be able to just go out and just follow your dream. If you feel that, okay, my dream is to one day have my own gym. And I know it's not the right time for me right now, but I am going to follow my dream. I'm doing the right things. Like they said, I need to make the right connection with people. Networking is a great thing to do. My niece, which is an attorney, Precious Anderson, I'm sure I can meet an array of people just with Precious. So my thing is to start my business, knowing it's the right time, meeting the right people.
So this event, I think, is a great opportunity for students from all majors to have an opportunity to get real firsthand information from our graduates on their keys to success and pitfalls to avoid. They talk about everything from how they navigated through their programs here on campus to then how they parlayed that to either jobs that they have held as either careers or how they've used those as launch boards to start their own businesses. And at the end of the day, I think what students will really see is that the educational experiences and the social networks that they develop here at FAMU can take them anywhere they want to go in life, whether that be a corporate executive, whether that be an executive of their own business. You get all the tools and skills that you need right here at FAMU to do that.